Welcome everyone to the next part of our Spotlight series where we interview esteemed members of the MSU faculty. So to start off our interview, I thought it would be a good icebreaker, as I know you're in the art department as a photographer, to try out sketching each other. And we'll do like a quick 30-second sketch of each other, and at the end of the interview, we'll show it to each other.
All right.
I think we just want to start off by asking you, what was your motivation to working globally and branching out from where you started off?
I kept in touch with my colleagues over in South Africa. We'd had exchange exhibits, lectures, all sorts of things. And I always wanted to return to South Africa in the 25th anniversary year of Nelson Mandela's inauguration, which was 2019. And I was very fortunate to get support from the Fulbright program to be a Fulbright scholar and travel there for 7 months.
Wow.
And again, I worked with young people about this time, their passions for their country and for themselves and for its past as well as its future. And meeting new people and understanding their perspectives from their cultures. But always South Africa's had a special place for me.
That's amazing. Speaking of which, I wanted to ask you how you came about to where you are today. Like, what was your career path in deciding you wanted to be a photographer, coming to MSU?
Most people, when I graduated from Syracuse University and other universities after 4 years, in that I didn't know what the heck I wanted to do. I had 2 degrees, a Bachelor of Science in photojournalism and a BS in political science also. And I was toying between doing a law school stint and going off to do work in perhaps copyright or intellectual property, or being a photographer. So I went to law school.
Oh, wow.
And after a year and a half at Syracuse University Law School, I realized this was not the career for me. I went to the College of Visual and Performing Arts, and they invited me to study at the master's level, and that's where it happened.
That's amazing.
Came here to Michigan State, my first job out of school, and I've somehow never left.
That's amazing. Wow. Your story is like such a good message that like it's never too late to change your path, and that you never really know until you get to a certain point what you actually want to do down the line.
That's true. And as Shakespeare wrote, "To thine own self be true." And the problem is, for all of us, I think, in listening to ourselves. The important thing, though, is when you do finally hear yourself, to not be afraid to take the next step. Because too often we hear ourselves and we just say, gee, I'm afraid to change. Or what are my parents going to say if I change? Or my friends, my spouse or other family members. What are they going to think of me if I make this change?
Yeah.
And so once, there's 2 difficult things. One is really listening and hearing yourself, and the other is acting. Yeah.
Just based on everything you said, like the experiences you went through to find like the career that was suited to you, and your experience with working with young people, do you have any advice for people in choosing their career and what the right thing is to do?
That's a really great question. I think I just answered it in part. But the other aspect is to really solidly educate yourself. Be able to hit the ground running, which means you are prepared.
So Professor Glendinning, I see that you brought in one of your photographs, one of your projects. Do you mind explaining this one a little more?
No, this is very typical of the projects that we did. The young person approached me and said, here's my metaphor. And I had no idea what who the person was that we were going to work with. And she said, it was this: no matter how rich the soil of a garden, without light, no plant can live. A country without God's light in its people is like that garden.
Most of the projects that you have described, they're all related to the soil and the importance of having your students create metaphors that are related to the soil.
Right.
So can you describe this book that you brought with us?
Yeah. Attached to the soil of this beautiful country, just like the famous jacaranda trees of Pretoria and the mimosa trees of the bushveld.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's saying there's a jacaranda tree, there's a mimosa tree. They both got their roots in the same soil. I'm looking out at you. There's a white person, there's a colored person, there's a black person, there's Asian person, there's all different persons here. We've got all got our roots in the same soil.
Yeah.
I said to these young people, what's your soil-related metaphor? Like Nelson Mandela had his, what's yours? Related to something that you see as significant in the South Africa that you see now,
Yep.
or the South Africa you experienced in the past, or the South Africa you see as its future. I had 48 young people step forward, because it's a hard thing to do.
Yep.
Okay? And those 48 young people came with a passion for their country, and for themselves, and for the future
Yep.
that I couldn't match. And they also had a person in mind like Agnes, or like Ela Gandhi, or like any of the others, who had a story from their life that related to that. We did an oral history interview, and I had a standard list of questions that then the young person followed up on, and I did too. They were at least a half an hour, sometimes more. And after the oral history interview was done, that was when we really decided what the photograph would be like. And then we set about creating a theatrical tableau, really a stage on which the person's life experience is going to be expressed. The point was not for me to say, what is the point of view of young people, but to say, how can I make their point of view visible to others? And I talked about why I felt I was successful and what others should learn from that. And it was that you need to be a good listener.
Yep.
You can't really do anything for anybody else. You can't partner with them, you can't collaborate them, you can't do anything but dominate them if you're not listening to them.
Yeah. I mean, I think bouncing off of that, my next question would be asking if you have any advice for young people who struggle to share their own voice. You know, when you work on projects like this, you're encouraging students to share their voice through the projects, and their subjects in the projects to share their voice. And
I think the first thing is to recognize that you have a voice, right? I think so many times, for so many different reasons, people of all ages feel that they don't really have anything that anybody else is interested in hearing.
Yep.
For the young person to recognize that they are the product of everything that's gone into their life experience to that point, and that whether those life experiences are good, bad, or indifferent, they've made them who they are, and they're each a unique, special individual. There's nobody else on the planet. So yes, for the young person, recognizing that they have something to say. And then also after that, or maybe also before that, listen to what other people have to say and learn from that.
Yep.
The other thing is changing your mind. That is becoming more and more difficult, I think.
Yep.
Because we have so much, whether it's social media for one thing, news media, the billboards that we're surrounded by, the impossibility of getting away from opinion, right? And also being in situations where only one opinion or one kind of track of opinion is permissible, you know, socially permissible. You are wrong about something, and moving your life in a way that recognizes that. I think the word humility is one that we need to have more.
Exactly.
You know,
I would agree.
if we have more humility and more recognition and more listening to other people's points of view, then we'll grow as a person.
It's a great answer. Yeah, I think that's so inspiring. You know, as a young person, that's why I asked the question, because I think that is something that we definitely struggle with today, finding a voice when there's like so many opinions out there today. So
Sure.
being able to listen is so important, and something everyone should know how to do, and that helps you build your own voice, I believe.
We should all be like lawyers in that our job is to weigh the facts. I would say more like judges.
Yeah.
Right? to be objective, and to recognize that there are two sides, and then to look at both points of view, or maybe all 10 points of view sometimes, and make an assessment that is not based on our own opinion. That's the hardest part for a judge, right? But based on the facts and the law.
But I think we should
have
turn
a
it around
reveal.
and look.
Ready? Oh, yours is much better than mine is.
I didn't know how to draw your eyes, so I just stuck with the glasses.
I like it.
I like the curly hair. Thank you.
Well, we try. I realized your hair was much
and
longer.
the mic.
So
I noticed the mic that you
I
tried
tried
to
to
draw.
put the mic on. Yes. Well,
Thank you so much. I'll keep this for
you're
sure.
a better artist than I am.
no.
I'll have to say.
Again, thank you so much.
I'm going to sign it.
Oh, please, please.